I woke up this morning to an email by a lovely individual who informed me of a Reddit post which detailed how Infold are conducting business that could be potentially deemed unlawful, and therefore they are able to have legal action taken against them. I wasn't anticipating making another video on Nikki, but when I read this email and looked over the Reddit post by user Spiderbait, I felt compelled to do what I can to spread the word. Because not only is a game company showing blatant disrespect to their consumers, but we are also watching said company ruin the reputation of a once unanimously celebrated game in real time. 1.5 isn't just a bad patch, it's the beginning of the end for a game that once brought so many people, myself included, so much joy and comfort. We all thought Infinity Nikki was going to be this monumental trailblazer for games that focus on catering to women and creating a space for those that resonate with the game that gives them solace from an industry that largely neglects them. I made a video 3 months ago, which has now aged like milk, praising the game and declaring it as one of my new favorites. Now, here I am, preparing Nikki's funeral. I hope you got your best outfit ready because it's about time to begin the sermon. Before I dig into Spiderbait's posts with all the juicy info, let's just take a moment to review some of the bullshit that has been put on a platter before us since Infinity Nikki 1.5 went live. The infamous $50 bathtub that was so graciously discounted for a mere $9.99, despite the original price never being available in the first place. A classic FOMO practice, making naive players believe that if they like the item in any significant capacity, that they need to buy it ASAP while it's on sale for such a good price. I don't mean to use the word naive to imply that I'm being derogatory towards anybody, but rather that it's a predatory practice that aims to target two groups of people: children and people who aren't familiar with gacha or live service games with microtransactions. If you're uneducated on the lie that is fake discounts like these, you are more likely to fall for the company's scheme and buy something you may not have intended on getting because of the FOMO instilled in you by seeing that this stupid bubble bath originally cost $49.99. The die system. Not only is it awful by being anti-free-to-play, with 99% of the color swatches being locked behind rare materials mainly received through direct purchase, but the accuracy of the colors on various pieces is downright embarrassing. Colors as advertised through the wardrobe screen do not translate into the actual game, and while this would still be really bad in general, knowing that you have to painstakingly purchase these colors for every individual piece you own just to see that said colors do not match what is being advertised to you is ridiculous. The story retcon. I basically made my entire rant video on 1.5 about this, choosing to drastically change the thesis of the story in a poorly executed, rushed sequence of cutscenes without telling players ahead of time that this was going to happen is sloppy work. And while the devs claim in their weak Twitter apology that they don't plan to delete the threads of a Union dress, they might as well have done it, with the game now opening with 2 limited time gacha dresses as opposed to a dress that was uniquely a part of the intro that nobody was able to access in-game. Also, with the goodwill of most players being destroyed, I doubt most people care about the alleged plans to reintroduce the dress to the game. The pity increase. 5-star outfits in Infinity Nikki contained up to 10 pieces since launch, and you are guaranteed 1 5-star piece every 20 pulls, making the hard pity for the limited banners a whopping 200 wishes, which is pretty hefty to put it nicely. Well, this new patch has introduced 2 new 5-star outfits, which are running at the same time, that have an extra piece, making the outfits now have 11 pieces. So now the hard pity for the banners is 220 pools. This is greed at its most insidious. You might ask, as either an outsider watching this video out of curiosity or a new player that doesn't quite understand, is it that big of a deal? If I may call myself out, in my first video talking about Infinity Nikki, I very adamantly stated how I felt the game was generous, despite the horrible 200 hard pity, because I just want a few pieces, not an entire outfit, as a very light spender. This might sound like a good excuse for certain players, but it is ignorant to the people that do want the entire outfit. Whether it's just for the ability attached to it or you just love every piece, completing any of these 5-star banners is an absolute chore, and Infold have gone out of their way to make it an even more egregious task with the addition of another piece. But the blasphemy doesn't stop there. Are you aware of the hidden drop rates? For those of you that only want, say, the hair or the dress from a limited banner and nothing else, Have you ever felt that you've had to spend more diamonds than you thought because you got other pieces before the one thing you actually wanted? Well, I have news for you. Infold have programmed separate rates for each outfit piece, and what do you know? Hair and dresses have the lowest rates out of everything. This also applies to 4 stars. The real kicker here is that Infold have not made this information publicly available, as this was retrieved by a data miner back in April. So picture this. A player who had no idea about the secretly manipulated drop rates for outfit pieces wants to get the newest hair piece. Only wanting that, they start wishing. 20 pulls, a necklace. Another 20 pulls, a bracelet. Another 20 pulls, shoes. Another 20 pulls, the dress. What I'm getting at is that even if you personally do not aim to have an entire outfit, you can end up in a situation where the game does not give you the piece that you want until almost or at the very end, making you have to do an insane 220 pulls just for a damn dress or a wig. This is absolute madness, and once again, Infold are being real snakish by choosing to not telegraph this information to their players, because they don't care. Lastly, I have to mention the bugs. Good lord, it's a lot of bugs. So many, in fact, that I would be making this video even longer than it already is if I listed off every single one, so I'll stick to the most notable ones. Co-op is an absolute rushed mess, with terrible frame rates, Nikki's getting stuck in the overworld, unable to move, your skin color changing on other people's screens, and poses for the camera not showing up for the people you're playing with. My game had crashed 3 times the day of the patch release, and there was an issue on PS5 where your menus could be completely unresponsive. The biggest problem is the ongoing issue where some players cannot log into the game, like they physically can't get the game to run properly and boot up the game so they can get in. This is a very serious problem, not only because it's just crazy to have an online game that you can't log into, but this is ripping people off who have spent money on the daily gift rewards. For those unfamiliar, it's like the Welcome Moon in Genshin, where you spend $4.99 to receive a small batch of premium currency every day for 30 days. By having this bug where players can't log in at all, and with the daily gifts expiring in real time, there are unfortunately a lot of people who are having their money be wasted because they can't access the premium currency that they're promised to get by logging in. This is an unfathomable level of incompetence, and Infold's response to this one situation alone is enough to get them in serious trouble. With that being said, I think I've spent enough time setting the scene. It's time to get specific about how we can take these situations and turn them into a legal case to punish this degenerate company beyond just refusing to play their games. I do have 2 disclaimers before we dive in. 1. I will be covering laws that Infold are violating in the US and the European Union. This is not on purpose to exclude people from taking action, this is just the information that I have available to me. 2. Not every single thing I mentioned in this video, to my knowledge, is eligible for legal action. Stuff like the die system and story retcon. However, everything else is pretty much within reason to take our anger as consumers to the next level. A more productive level, no less. Without further ado, let the funeral begin. First, we'll kick this off with the fake $50 bathtub advertised as $10 for a steal of a deal. Fake discounts like these, which again are just cheap FOMO tactics, are officially labeled as false reference pricing. Note that the bathtub is not the only thing to be similarly marketed in the game, but it's easily the most egregious example. In the US, this violates National FTC Regulations 15 USC Section 45A and Section 5 of the FTC Act of 1914, which says that unfair or deceptive acts or practices in or affecting commerce are hereby declared unlawful. In Title 16, Chapter 1B, Section 233.1d, the FTC states that advertisers cannot advertise a former price unless it was an actual price that was offered for a reasonable amount of time. So for our fabulous bathtub, the outrageous price of $50 was never given out, and they've tried to sweep this under the rug by removing the fake discount tag in-game, but the fact of the matter is that they did it, period. This is false advertisement and is a shady tactic to get people to spend money they otherwise wouldn't have spent due to the imposed pressure to hurry up and get it before it goes back to the non-existent high price Infold alluded to. There are more specific laws for this per state, but This is a more general source, so the most people possible can file. In the EU, this violates Article 6 of the Unfair Commercial Practices Directive. Article 6 states that a commercial practice shall be regarded as misleading if it contains false information and is therefore untruthful or in any way, including overall presentation, deceives or is likely to deceive the average consumer, even if the information is factually correct, in relation to one or more of the following elements, and in either case causes or is likely to cause him to take a transactional decision that he would not have taken otherwise. Specifically, Section D, the price or the manner in which the price is calculated, or the existence of a specific price advantage. It also violates the 2022 Omnibus Directive, stating that businesses must show the lowest price applied in 30 days. In regards to the loss of diamonds due to the login bug, as well as Infold's lack of proper action towards compensating players, telling them that they won't be refunding anything and to just play on a different device, they violate a couple of things. This violates Section 5 and the FTC mail, internet, or telephone rule in the US. 16 CFR Section 435 states that if a product or service can't be delivered on time, the seller must notify the buyer of the delay, offer a refund, or get consent to delay further and issue a refund automatically if the buyer doesn't agree to the delay. Not being able to get into the game to claim a paid service constitutes a delay in promised goods. This situation has a lot more specific coverage in the EU. Firstly, this goes against Article 7 of the Digital Content Directive, titled The Subjective Requirements for Conformity, which states, in order to conform with the contract, the digital content or digital service shall, in particular where applicable, a. be of the description, quantity, and quality, and possess the functionality, compatibility, interoperability, and other features as required by the contract. B. Be fit for any particular purpose for which the consumer requires it and which the consumer made known to the trader at the latest at the time of the conclusion of the contract, and in respect of which the trader has given acceptance. C. Be supplied with all accessories, instructions, including on installation, and customer assistance as required by the contract. And D. Be updated as stipulated by the contract. The Daily Gift Pass is a contract between the player and the company. So, through this refusal to take accountability and give screwed over players what they promised per the contract, aka the $4.99 purchase, Infold are breaching the contract on their end. This is a violation to the aforementioned laws because Infold have not kept the game playable during the contract duration. But wait, there's more! Infold have also violated Article 13, titled Remedy for Failure to Supply, and Article 16.1, titled Obligations of the Trader in the Event of Termination. To give a more summarized description of these two articles, it essentially details that consumers are entitled to reimbursement if digital goods promised by a trader are not delivered efficiently, and if a product is meant to be given out over a period of time, like the daily gifts, and you received a disproportionate amount of that product in correspondence to the time period, such as not being able to log in, then you are entitled to reimbursement for that portion. Last but not least, we have the hidden drop rates for various items within a complete outfit on the limited banners, particularly the difference between accessories and main pieces, how likely you are to receive socks, shoes, or necklaces before you acquire a dress or hairpiece. At the time of 1.4, these were the unsaid drop rates for articles. This once again violates Section 5 in the US, specifically the Clear and Conspicuous Disclosure section of the .com Disclosures Guide. For the EU, this violates the Unfair Commercial Practices Directive, stating that failure to disclose unequal probabilities is a misleading omission, and once again, the Digital Content Directive, specifically in Section 2019-770, which states that gotcha mechanics that don't meet consumer expectations may violate conformity requirements. Fun fact, Apple and Google require percentage disclosures in their App Store policies, which means that this is in violation of both stores' terms of service. It's safe to say that Infold have made a complete ass of themselves and have landed in quite possibly the biggest scandal the Gachaverse has ever seen in recent memory. Wuthering Waves had a very weak anniversary that catered to whales, and Hoyoverse may not be a perfect company, to put it lightly, but this is a whole new low. One single patch has literally turned a beloved game unplayable, both metaphorically and literally. It's honestly depressing because I can speak for everybody watching this that Infinity Nikki felt like something so special when it released. Though I'm divorced from the game now, it still is a breath of fresh air in the gaming space. Period. A dress-up game that's on consoles and not just a mobile game, with AAA budget and graphical quality that rivals its juggernaut contemporaries? Infinity Nikki may not have ever gotten the chance to become mainstream, but it very easily acquired a dedicated fan base of players who were passionate and diehard for this game. It inspired people, made people feel seen in the gaming community, brought comfort and levity in some of the darkest times the real world has gone through in years. For all intents and purposes, this game should have been a winner. It was a winner, because even though the last couple patches before 1.5 may have been filler with not too much going on in terms of story development or content, everyone was still having a blast. I was still having a blast, even when the event quests bored me. The amount of goodwill that has been destroyed within 24 hours of a patch release from Infold is unlike something I've ever seen before. I know I tend to speak very dramatically at times, but I truly am disgusted by what has transpired since 1.5 launched. A game I once held dear to my heart, I now want nothing to do with. And a game that was doing so well for itself now has a tainted reputation that will not be forgotten, no matter what time and future patch releases will try to do to fix the wounds. Will I come back to this game if Infold buckle under pressure and make improvements to their setbacks? No. I don't care if they revert the pity, if they fix the dice system to make it more accessible. I don't care if they try to bribe me with 60 free pools as an apology. I'm over it. Companies are not our friends. This is common knowledge. But at the very least, we as consumers should be treated with basic bare minimum respect when it comes to the quality of products being sold to us. Why should we feel obligated to accept horseshit and half-baked games with a smile on our faces? I can hear the meat munchers right now. Well, it's a free gacha game. The company has to make money somehow. I'm aware that by downloading a free-to-play game, gacha or not, that the company has to do certain things to secure a consistent source of revenue. Be it microtransactions in games like Overwatch or Fortnite, or the gambling for shiny new items and limited gacha banners. However, this shouldn't excuse the scummiest of approaches to this direction. I'm not asking to be handed every single 5-star in a gacha for free. I know what I signed up for, but that doesn't mean that I should be actively punished for being free to play or a light spender. Companies catering specifically to whales, rich people with too much money to make sense of, or honestly just average people who are financially irresponsible should not be the norm. If we're gonna start gatekeeping accessibility to these types of games, then I don't think they should be free to download anymore. Put a paywall up, be straight with people, and make it known that spending money frequently is the best way to get the most enjoyment out of the game. I cannot stand the increase of companies who value being sneaky and underhanded with their intentions instead of just being honest about what they want. And to do something like Infold, changing storylines in the pity system with no warning, with hidden drop rate differences between limited items, having a bug where the game is inaccessible and then refusing to offer player compensation, the bare minimum response, is unacceptable. You want to know how to kill your game? Be like Infold. Do some shit like that. Believe it or not, people will spend money on stuff that they enjoy and feel satisfied with. When people feel like they're receiving a quality product, that the company selling said product is respectable enough, people spend money to show support. So this debate surrounding the defense of shitty business practices because rich company need to make money makes zero sense to me. If you make a good game and satisfy your player base, they will naturally feel like spending money on it. Common sense. I love Baldur's Gate 3, so what did I do? Buy the deluxe bonus package. I love Overwatch even when it gets on my nerves, so what do? Buy a battle pass every once in a while. Maybe even drop $20 to $30 on a skin if I'm really feeling it. If I dislike a game that I bought, I'm not going to touch it ever again, perhaps even sell it. If I'm not feeling a free-to-play game that I downloaded, I am not wasting my money on it. I spent a total of $25 on Infinity Nikki in the 5 months that it has been out. And if you think that I'd spend another cent on it, assuming that I'd even come back to the game, then you do not know me. It is with a heavy heart that I officially declare Infinity Nikki a dead game. While people may still play the game, and the servers may stay up for a while, it is dead to me. Very disappointing, but that's how the cookie crumbles. If you wish to officially report Infold and take action against them, you can go to reportfraud.tcv.gov to file an official report so this company can truly feel the wrath of the people they've pissed off. For a guide on how to correctly put a report together, Spiderbait on Reddit was gracious enough to create a guide in correspondence to their original post, which inspired this video. I will link it in my description, as I know this video is long and I don't mean to keep you here any longer. Make your voice heard and stand up for your respect. And remember this, the way to make companies and bigwig officials in your country move is to affect their money. I hate to say it, but most of them don't give a damn about morals or justice. They don't care about you crying about unfair treatment or discrimination. They care about seeing their analytics lower than usual and their income being less than what their greedy selves are used to. Keep them from making a profit, and you might just see the results you're looking for. But that's enough of me preaching. I hope you guys enjoyed this funeral service, and have a great rest of your day. If you would like a dress-up game to replace Infinity Nikki, might I suggest Pokemon X and Y? Only as the girl trainer, of course. Or perhaps the official Pink Panthers dress-up game on the official Pink Panthers website. Stream fancy now.